Well, good evening, everyone. This is Sunday evening, November 4th, and this is our fourth series with Coach Greg. And tonight's topic is the title is "What You Do to Get There." No, it's not, is it? The title is "Whether to Change, What to Change, and What to Change To." And this is the story of Scout. And Greg, I'm going to let you go ahead and just take it away here.
Okay, the story of Scout, which exemplifies the idea of whether to change, what to change, and what to change to, builds off the previous week. So I want to review those very quickly. The first week we did the story of Anna, which was start swinging and adjusting. The second week we covered the story of Shannon. Shannon came in for a lesson and thought that I would just tell her how to swing and she would have a good swing. But she finally realized she needed to start swinging with her regular swing where she was at, and that we would adjust her into a better swing. And then last week we dealt with Shelby, who was a pitcher, who was allowing the data in the pitches in the past. She was allowing that data to beat her up instead of taking control of the situation and taking the data from the past, making an adjustment in the present to change her future. This week, we're covering the story of Scout, which covers whether to change, what to change, and what to change to. And a lot of times when we start a project or we start a business or we're at the plate swinging, we get confused on whether to change and what to change and what to change to. We too often use feelings as our parameters or our comfort level or maybe the latest new fad. But the best thing to use is a system of success that has been proven in the past. And that's what the story of Scout exemplifies. Scout started taking lessons from me when she was 12. 3 years later, when she was 15, she tried out for an elite travel team and made it on the team. She was a leadoff hitter and a very good hitter. And she would come in on Tuesdays after a weekend of tournament games and take a hitting lesson on Tuesday evenings. And I'd always ask her, Scout, how did you do? And the first week she went 14 for 19. The next week she went 15 for 23. The next week she went 15 for 21. So she was doing a really good job. However, I knew that her coach that she had, her new coach, was really emphatic that the leadoff hitter get on. So I knew she was under a lot of pressure to get on base. So she comes in the fourth Tuesday of the month, in the fourth week into the season. And I asked her how she did, and she said, "Oh, I did terrible." I said, "So what was your stats?" She said, "I went 1 for 22. I said, "How did you go 1 for 22 after you've been doing so well?" She goes, "Well, I wasn't getting on." So that told me right away that she was focused on the wrong part of the process. So I said, "Okay, tell me what you did the first game, the first at bat in the first game." She said, "I hit a line drive to the shortstop and I didn't get on base." I said, "Scout, it's not whether you get on base, it's whether or not you put the ball in play with authority. That's all you can control. So you did a good job on that at bat." What happened the second at bat? She said, "I hit a line drive to the second baseman and I didn't get on." I said, "But you put the ball in play with authority and that's all you can control. So it was a successful at bat." "What'd you do your third at bat?" She goes, "That was the most frustrating one. I hit a line drive back to the pitcher. It hit her on the thigh and rolled to first base, and they got me out, and I didn't get on. I said, did you get up a fourth time? She said, no. I said, so what happened the second game? She goes, well, it went downhill. I said, is there any reason why? She goes, well, it might have been because I made an adjustment. I said, why'd you make an adjustment? She goes, because I wasn't getting on. And I said, Scout, that's not the parameter we use. You can't control whether you get on. All you can control is how well you put the ball in play. If you put the ball in play with authority, then you've done everything that you can do. You're focused on the outcome rather than your performance. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you through this lesson, figure out what technique you adjusted, and see if we can get it fixed. Because you were within our system of success, and when you adjusted outside our system of success. So I took Scout through the lesson, and by the end of the lesson, I had her hitting line drives again instead of popping up. She comes in for her next lesson the following week, and I asked her how she did, and she goes, much better. And I said, what were your stats? And she said, 14 for 20. And her mom said, you need to share with Coach what happened the first game. I said, what happened the first game, Scout? She said, well, I hit a line drive back to the pitcher and I was out. Then the second time I was up, I hit a line drive to the third baseman, I was out. Then I hit a line drive the third time to the shortstop and I was out. And even though I didn't get on, I didn't make an adjustment. I did what you said. And then I went, in the second game, I went 3 for 3. The third game, I went 3 for 3. And the fourth game, I went 2 for 3. So the story of Scout illustrates in a very perfect way that sometimes we make adjustments to make adjustments because we're frustrated, and we actually move ourselves outside the system of success. We don't want to base our adjustments on feelings or comfort or the new latest fad. We want to base it on something that we know has been successful in the past. That will allow us to know whether to change, what to change, and what to change to. The other thing that's common between Scout situation and an Arbonne business is a good hitter in softball, which Scout was, is going to bat 300 or 400. That means 30% of the time they're successful. That means 70% of the time they're not successful. And if they focus on the outcome, they end up making adjustments based on things they cannot control. So in our system of success, we always got our hitters to focus on what they could control. And all they could control was how well they put the ball in play. If they put the ball in play with authority, even if they were out, they still got a high five when they came in the dugout. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Linda.
I love this story because it relates so much to our business in so many ways. There's a couple of things, that you said with this story that reminded me of, don't be attached to the outcome. We say that all the time in our business, when we, we see the potential in people, and we get caught up in the nose rather than staying focused on what we can control and just keep doing what we know to do, which is basically continue to go out there and share, sell, and sponsor. Those are the things that we need to stay focused on. So staying focused on our performance, not the outcome. And the other thing, coming off of the Paola retreat this weekend, the common theme from the RVP stories that were shared and the MVP stories is, the working, feeling like they're working so hard and it's not working. And in this business, we don't always see results right away. But a lot of times when people get frustrated, they try to make a change. They think, well, maybe, I'll follow somebody else's system because maybe, they seem to be successful. And so we kind of get distracted and follow the shiny things instead of staying focused on what we know we need to do and keep working. And so the harvest comes, we plant a lot of seeds along the way. And for the seeds to grow, we need to be following up and watering those seeds. And then the harvest comes. But it takes time. We don't always see things right away. And so, like you were talking about, she was making adjustments because she felt pressured to perform. And a lot of times when we're getting to that, close to that next level, or we're trying to finish a qualification, we sometimes panic and think we need to do something different in order to get that done. And it really takes us, the best player, out of the game instead of focusing on the things that we did to get there. And so, knowing, I love the title, Whether to Change, What to Change, and What to Change to. So we know what works. A lot of times we don't want to do the things that work, and that takes us out of the game a lot of times. So it's just staying focused on that. Does that bring anything to mind, Greg, when I'm talking about that, as far as how you can apply a little bit more to this story, to our business?
Well, it reminded me of another story. There's a story of Barry Bonds when he went into a slump, a hitting slump in the majors. And it was a fairly long slump. And then he finally burst out of the slump. And a reporter finally asked him what he did different to get out of the slump. And he said, I went back to my basics. I went back to the same workout I did when I was in the minor leagues trying to get to the majors instead of doing something different. So, not doing something new or shiny. You're in the majors, so you don't have to do the basics anymore. And he realized that he did need to do the basics.
Yeah.
And basically what he said was what had gotten him there would also keep him there.
Absolutely. And that's no different than our business. It is what we did to get there. We need to continue to do to stay there, but also that is what's going to sustain us, is, continuing to build that foundation. And athletes, world-class athletes get up every single day and do their routine over and over and over, the same thing, and they master it, and they don't veer from it. They strengthen that muscle. And that's what we're doing in our business too, is first getting out there and swinging, doing the do, and then getting out there and continuing to swing and knowing what to adjust as far as getting better, because you are swinging, but then keep doing that. Being consistent in that is so powerful. Can you share with us what is coming next week that's going to add to this?
The story next week is the story of Morgan, and the title of it is Take Feeling Out of It. One of the things that I tell my players is when we're using a system of success, we need to stick with the system of success. And they need to remember that feelings don't tell them if something is right or wrong. Feelings don't tell them if something is good or bad. Feelings just tell them that something is different. And it could be the different that is the key to success. And they don't like to do the different because it's uncomfortable. And so one of the rules we had on the team was, unless you were prepared to become uncomfortable, you weren't prepared for practice and you weren't prepared for games.
That sounds like that's going to be a very powerful one as well. So, so stay tuned for that one. And again, if anybody has any questions or comments or anything that they want to say, you can post them here on the chat or the Q&A, or you can post it on the thread in the Nation page after this is posted, but I will post the recording. And is there anything else, Greg, that you want to share?
No, I think that pretty much concludes it.
Okay, awesome. Well, these are short and sweet, but hopefully powerful that you can apply to your business right away. And it's always interesting to just have kind of a way conversation without getting feedback. But anyway, we wanted to bring these to you in hopes that it will help, trigger some things that make sense, that this is really the game. As team sports is really about the game of life and about our business, and how we play the game is whether or not we get better at it and are successful and become world-class leaders in the process. So that's our hope for sharing these stories with you. And we look forward to sharing another story next week. So thank you all for being with us tonight. Bye. Thank you, Greg.
Okay, bye.
Bye.